Good morning, and this is a crypto day morning with today's date coming in that of Friday, the 4th of January 2019. All bets trades of the like within each's own risk and reward. Still not much to go over Bitcoin as it continues to trade within this correctionary band, 18 average of highs and lows, starting to go sideways, which is always going to be the case if it's unable to break out or break down. And I'm still in the continuation of waiting for any type of situation that can show me where a good breakout or breakdown is going to occur. But as long as it trades primarily within the range of around 3,600 low change and up to about 42, I have this very range bound and in the correctionary move, and I don't know who's going to win right now between the bulls and the bears, at least for the next short-term run. When we move on to some altcoins, let's first look at Ethereum as it continues a very nice run from the lows of the middle of December. As the move on the 24th of December had a very good correction within its trend, coming back to a steadily rising 18 highs. Such is still doing so and rising at a very great rapid rate of ascension. There was 3 times hit of this level at around the 375 handle, as it was Christmas Eve. It was again on December 29th, and again on New Year's Day. It has since broken out, a pause day yesterday, and looking as if the momentum to continue to go higher is in play. This is an area that, if it needs to come back to, is going to be a key short-term level. What didn't happen was when it corrected in here, was going there, as it went to the 18 average of highs for about 4 or 5 periods, and then breaking out and holding thus. So on a short-term level, even this level of resistance found on the 2nd of January is now being supported. We can see such, of course, within the single hour time frame. And this thing is doing relatively well right now. Overextended? Yeah, of course it is. On the weekly chart, is it overextended? You know what? It's starting to have a nice little move above here, but that's just a key word. Starting, for saying that it was overextended back in, say, 20 back in here when it was like 0.018 or something. Oh, it's up a lot. Yeah, and then a little bit later it's at 0.05, and then even later than that it's at 0.18. So to say it's overextended on here, it could go down, but it most certainly could have massive rise higher, because even the one that occurred last year in December, starting from below the 18 lows, and in this case well below such, higher volatility was the reason for that. But it goes right to the highs and then just continues accelerating well north of that. It's got some room to accelerate if it so desires to do so, or if buyers really stay in the market buying this up, of course. Next up is LITECOIN, which continues to show the strong setup, and it hasn't started its big breakout of any big start from that setup. This is major resistance in this point, as it's at least talking from this point on. Nice correction at the highs up in here, deeper correction, but it found it at the lows. Higher low in here, maybe that higher low here. I don't know when it's going to be ready to poised out, but the setup has been looking good for several days now. Still looking strong, or showing no signs of this being a failed setup at this point. 4-hour term time frame, obviously major resistance amongst this upper area at around the 85 handle, and many of these higher lows still intact. Let's move next to Tron on its daily term time frame, and this was just a really cool, interesting pattern, which then ended or had another pattern going high like this. Sideways consolidation, and it's looking very successful so far. Within such, we can see it did come to the 18 lows, finding support. Still has yet to come back to any areas where it came from on this, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But before we do, as it's now moving, it's looking to be breaking above. When we look at this on a shorter term time frame, we can see that this was a key 4-hour period at the 7 o'clock timestamp, January 3rd. Breaking out above the 18 highs, then the red candle coming back. Since then, it's grinding the 18 average of highs at a very, very progressive, nice looking way. And the single hour time frame is really showing that this thing looks poised and ready to go. This level of previous resistance has already come back for support. There's a nice little resistance hit in here, which gets followed with this higher low. Now just leaving this 18 average of band at the same area of this high and this level does seem poised to break out higher. And amongst the weekly term, I've seen these markets when they're ready to go, and here's a spot where it went pretty good and is on its second week of its sideways consolidation, and within the daily showing that it's ready to go. If this thing goes, it could have some decent sized gains. I'd have to think a conservative number would be around 7.25, and that's conservative as a 200-point increase, and it could have potential to have a monstrous great gains when you're in, of course, this type of situation of crypto's ready to go, and we're seeing a lot of signs, of course, on the daily. And of course the other shorter term time frames that it looks like it might be poised to do such. And the final one will be EOS, which it too has had this major level of resistance, and on its last correctionary move back here down to the 18 average of lows as well. From that point, big green candle following, several periods riding the 18 average of highs, and then on the date of January the 2nd getting out above, bringing it back yesterday. In today's session, we can see that it's had a little small rally, has given it back. When we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, this is the case of that small rally giving it back, which is an interesting situation as it plays out, because if I see signs of this thing going into this area in here, then that's the case of coming to a key high and failing on a correctionary mode, as this was an opportunity for the market to go higher as this green candle was going up. Rather, it was followed with a decent size red one. It still hasn't broken down. 18 average is still flat, and it can very most certainly rally from this point, as just because I see a spot of a rally like this come back fast to previous congestion, that might tell me that there's a decent chance, or a better chance, that we have a same equivalency down move of probably just small levels. We'd be talking about 700 going to 675. So that's a differential of going down 3 point whatever percent. That it seems as if there might be a better chance, but only small, that we'd have like a 3-4% push down here compared to retesting this high. But if it does do that, then I would deem what has just happened on this red candle down in the sideways move as a correctionary move for this point in here. But when I look at the way the markets move, you have this low, you have this high. It could have extended higher, which is fine, but the two areas that I like to see it support, it isn't doing that right now. It's currently resisting this in here, and that makes me less optimistic. And if I see momentum going lower, it just makes sense. I'd probably have to see a clear break above this high now for me to feel that there's a really good chance that this thing is ready to break out. But with that being said, the daily time frame is still very, very strong, and any moves that go lower, well, the 18 average of lows would be an area I'd be looking still to find some support. And all that's going to do is make this 18 average get closer to going sideways, and thus this point A low, point B high becoming more and more neutral with one attempt, and then now a second attempt to get back above established resistance. And there we go, there's established support. It hasn't seen it in a while, so I like this upward momentum that we're still seeing. So very much mixed pictures along such, which is why I like my trading strategy that I do. And I'll just let the orders come in. And that's why when I look at this, I realize if it breaks this resistance, we're probably going to have a good gain. So selling at like 757, 765 to me just doesn't make much sense. Selling for a leg higher around the 800 or 820, that makes more sense for myself. And then the mathematical numbers itself, let's just assume, say I did sell here, I'll just wait for either to come up here to sell again, or I'll wait for a correctionary move somewhere here, and then you just wait until your buy orders or sell orders fill, and then for me, put new ones in. Doesn't take long to do such. And that is that. So thank you for tuning in. There are hockey picks, and there's only going to be a couple. One in the NHL. Well, these are the four codes I was supposed to look at. This is what I need to bring up for such. One NHL, one Ontario Hockey League, one playing the big odds again. 12-17 record on the season at 41.4% wins, and a return of investment thus far at plus 34.6%. Penguins are very, very hot. They're playing a very good Winnipeg team, but being at home and just steamrolling past a lot of their opponents, I really like the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Kitchener OHL team, I think they're the Frontenacs or Rangers, Kitchener Rangers. They used to, Kingston used to be the Rangers. I think that's the Kitchener Frontenacs. Minus 2.5, plus 362. This is a team that's very, very live to win by such. They're in an evenly matched small. They're relatively the better team than the opponent they're facing, but this is a team that has won many of their home games by 3 goals or more, and playing an opponent who's lost many of their road games by 3 or more as well. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.